Okay, this video today is about order of operations. The order of operations as it's been taught in the past, PEMDAS, is actually technically incorrect. So I'm going to really work hard not to teach it that way to you. So basically, when you are solving any math problem, you solve it using 4 steps. The first step is solve any parentheses or brackets in order from left to right. The second step is solve exponents in order from left to right. The third step is to multiply or divide in order from left to right. And then you add and subtract in order from left to right. So let's just work some examples and I'll show you kind of what I'm talking about. So this problem, we have several things going on here. And remember, the first thing that we're looking at is parentheses. And there is one set of parentheses here. So the first thing I'm going to do in this problem is 12 minus 4, which is 8. The second thing is I bring everything else down. And you got to remember to bring everything else down. And I call it math pizza. We're making math pizza. Because at the end it's going to look like a slice of pizza. Okay, the next thing is exponents. Well, I don't see any exponents. Exponents are these little guys that look like this. But I don't see any exponents. So we don't have to worry about that step. The next thing is to multiply and divide from left to right. So I'm going to start over here at the left of the problem, and I see 56 divided by 8, which is 7. And then I bring everything else down. Notice I'm performing one step at a time. But there's still multiplication and division, so I'm going to go ahead and do that. 3 times 4, which is 12. Bring everything else down. And then the last step is to add and subtract from left to right. 7 plus 12 is 19. 19 minus 8 is 11. So you can see how I kind of made, oh, that's terrible, my little math pizza. And that's what we want. Next problem. So again, I'm looking at parentheses first. 3 plus 9 is 12. And then I bring everything else down. There are no exponents, so I'm good there. Multiply and divide from left to right. In this problem, the multiplication comes first, so I'm going to do that first. 15. 3 times 5 is 15. And again, notice I bring everything else down every step. That's so I don't get confused. And even though I'm a grown-up and I'm a math teacher, I still do that. Okay, and then, whoops, we're not done with multiply and divide, are we? Because we have a division problem still. So I'm going to go ahead and do that step. 12 divided by 4 is 3. And then I'm going to bring everything else down. Then I do my adding and subtracting from left to right. Subtraction comes first, so that's what I do first. And then 2 plus 3 is 5. So this whole big problem all just becomes 5. And I like to put my little triangle around it so that I know I did it the right way. Okay. I'm going to try to find an example that has a little bit more going on. So I'm going to use some of these examples. And a lot of these have a little bit more going on. So remember, parentheses, exponents, multiply and divide, add and subtract, and both of those happen from left to right. So we'll just start with this problem right here. This problem is a little bit confusing because it has a fraction in it, but that's okay. It doesn't have any parentheses, so we're good there. It doesn't have any exponents. It does have multiplication and division, though, because remember, a fraction is just a little division problem. So 8 over 2 is 8 divided by 2, which is 4. And then I'm going to bring everything else down. Done there, and now I just add and subtract from left to right. 6 plus 4 is 10, plus 6 is 16, and that's my answer. This one is a little bit complicated because it's got a parentheses and an exponent. Remember, we solve our parentheses first, so 3 plus 4 is 7. And once we've solved everything in our parentheses, they can kind of go away. And now I've got an exponent. 7 squared is 49. And now I've got some, I don't have any multiplication and division, but I've got some subtraction. 49 minus 17 is 32. Okay, so those are some harder examples. And then I'm going to go ahead and show you guys what happens when you have multiple sets of brackets. So you might have something like this. Okay, so what we see here, and again, we're doing parentheses first, exponents, then multiply and divide, add and subtract left to right. So what we see here is we see two different sets of brackets. We've got an outer set of brackets here and then an inner set of parentheses. When we see that two-level bracket, what we're going to do is we're going to basically ignore this 5 and all this stuff outside the brackets and just look at this problem right here. And we're going to solve that first using the order of operations. 3 plus 2 goes first because that's in parentheses. So that's 5. And now I've solved everything outside my, whoops. Now I've solved everything in my parentheses, so they go away. And I've still got these brackets, which are basically parentheses. So 5 times 2 is 10, and then 10 plus 5 is 15. So that's a little bit complicated as well. So I'm going to go back a couple and do some more of these examples. So this one right here, what you notice here is that you've got a parenthesis around a number, but there's nothing to solve inside the parentheses. So a little bit of a tricky situation is when there's nothing to solve inside the parentheses, that doesn't really count as a parenthesis. When you have parentheses around a number pushed up against a number like this, that means multiplying. So what this is really telling you is 12 times 3. So since we don't have any parentheses, we don't have any exponents, but we do have multiplication, we're going to do the multiplication first. And then 36 plus 7, I think we all know, is 43. Last problem I'm going to do, parentheses go in order from left to right, so I'm going to do these first. 8. I bring everything else down every step of the way. And the next parentheses here is 6. And then I do multiplication and division from left to right. So this is actually going to be 12. And then add and subtract from left to right. 8 minus 12 is actually negative 4. So this problem gives us a negative answer. So what I've tried to do in this video is kind of go over a bunch of different types of situations. And I know I went really fast. Let me just do a couple of more examples and then I'll be done. So let's look at this one right here. Parentheses we have, 10 minus 9 is 1. I'm going to bring everything else down. Okay, and then now I know I have to multiply because there's no exponents. So I'm going to multiply 9 times 6. So I've done exponents, so I'm multiplying and dividing now. Is 56. And then I'm going to add and subtract from left to right. 56 plus 5 is 61. Minus 1 is 60. All right, I'm going to go ahead and stop there. I hope this video has been helpful for you in learning the order of operations.